Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the Cabinet and the legislature, and fellow citizens. Florida leads. We lead with purpose and conviction. We lead with determination and strength. We lead with faith, and we lead with hope. Anyone can hold the helm while the sea is calm. Leadership matters when it's hard. Florida is the leader among states because we lean into challenges, tackle the big issues, and deliver results for the people that we serve. Now, in these endeavors, we're mindful of the adage from an American philosopher, quote, "If you don't know where you're going, you might wind up someplace else." Now, Yogi Berra was right to articulate, as only he could, the need for clear direction. We are guided in our efforts by a strong commitment to the principles on which our country was founded and that have endured for centuries. That our rights come from God, not from government. That constitutional limitations on government's power are essential to preserve liberty. That ours is a government of laws, not a government of men. And that government derives its power from the consent of we the people. The sturdy foundation of American principles is the guide that the free state of Florida must never abandon. We have stood in the breach and protected our people from noxious ideologies and trendy but empty social fads. We chose freedom over fear. We chose education over indoctrination. We have chosen law and order over rioting and disorder. We are proud of our state's accomplishments while we recognize the work that lies ahead. Our rudder is set. Our rudder is set. Our compass is in hand. True north is our destination. We can and we must continue to lead. Now, we are convening for the regular legislative session, having already enacted groundbreaking legislation to fulfill the historic mandate of delivering on President Donald Trump's mandate to end the illegal immigration crisis once and for all. No state has done more, and no state did it sooner than we did in the free state of Florida. Thanks to recent legislation, it's now a crime to enter Florida illegally. The days of catch and release are over, and all state and local law enforcement agencies have a duty to assist in interior immigration enforcement efforts. The voters have spoken, and Florida has responded. We will be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Now, joining us today are two great leaders in this effort, our newly minted immigration czar, Larry Keefe, and Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Please wave to us. There's Wayne. There he is. With leaders like Larry and Wayne, Florida will get the job done. We are not a sanctuary state. We are a rule of law state. Now, Florida has also led the way in creating a strong economic environment. For the past 2 years, Florida's economy has ranked #1 in these United States. We rank #1 in entrepreneurship, #1 in new business formations, #1 in GDP growth amongst large states, and we have an unemployment rate that has been lower than the national average for more than 50 consecutive months straight. We represented the refuge for freedom and sanity during the coronavirus pandemic, not just for other states and throughout our country, but even for people throughout the world. People moved here. Businesses flocked to our state, and investment to Florida surged. We continue to set tourism records. 2024 saw more than 142 million visitors come to the state of Florida. This includes 3.3 million visitors from Canada. That's not much of a boycott in my book. Maybe they wanted to get a glimpse of what a Stanley Cup winning hockey team actually looks like. Now, the legislature in recent years has enacted historic reforms that have improved economic conditions and has addressed very difficult issues like insurance. Because of these reforms, automobile insurance rates are scheduled to come down this year, between 6 and 10.5% average reductions amongst the three largest companies, even as rates continue to skyrocket nationwide. And our homeowners insurance market is seeing stability. 11 new companies have entered the market over the past year. 130,000 new private policies were put into effect in 2024. And last year, believe it or not, S&P Global rated Florida as having the lowest increases amongst all 50 states. We were also recently able to announce that in 2025, 73% of Citizens property insurance homeowners in Miami-Dade County are scheduled to receive a decrease on average of 6.3%. Now, the fact is this: the Florida legislature has devoted more time and effort to address insurance reforms over the past few years than at any other time in the history of the state of Florida. Those reductions in auto would not have happened without your reforms, and the stability that we saw in 2024 would not have happened without you taking action. And I hope that the legislature continues these efforts by providing funding for those on the My Safe Florida Home wait list. These are people that have been approved. These are folks that have already been approved. These grants have helped tens of thousands of Floridians harden their home, which has also in many instances led to rate relief. The program is a testament to the legislature's commitment to helping our homeowners. It has made a difference, and it can do so again. Now, our economy is strong in part because our spending and budget policies are sensible. We are actually spending less money in the current fiscal year than we did in the previous fiscal year. Where else in this country have they actually reduced spending? We have the lowest number of state government workers per capita amongst all 50 states. Over the past 6 years, we have more than tripled our state's rainy day fund. We just recently celebrated our 180th birthday as a state, and I'm happy to say just since 2019, if you take all the debt that's been accumulated over that period of time, we've paid off 41% of it in the last 6 years. Our state has among the lowest per capita state debts in all of the United States of America. The share of Florida's debt for each Florida citizen is about $660. The share of the national debt for each U.S. citizen is north of $100,000 per U.S. citizen. Can the congressman in Washington, D.C. please take a page out of Florida's fiscal playbook for a change? Now, Florida is a free state in part because we are a low-tax state. We have one of the top 5 tax environments in the nation, famously have no income tax, and we've enacted billions of dollars in tax relief over the past 6 years. We must continue to be a friend to the taxpayer. Now, in addition to our traditional tax holidays, I'm proposing we add holidays for marine fuel to help our boaters and anglers enjoy Florida's waters, as well as a Second Amendment summer for the purchases of firearms, ammo, and accoutrements. I know a lot of people in the state will appreciate that. Florida remains the only state in America to tax business rent. And while we've reduced the rate of the tax, it is time to eliminate it altogether. While Florida property values have surged in recent years, this has come at a cost to taxpayers squeezed by increasing local government property taxes. These escalating assessments have created a gusher of revenue for local governments, and in many throughout Florida have seen their budgets increase far beyond the growth in their populations. Taxpayers need relief. You buy a home, you pay off the mortgage, and yet you still have to write a check to the government every year just for the privilege of living on your own private property. Is the property yours, or are you just renting it from the government? And I know members of the legislature are studying the issue in anticipation of formulating a proposal to place on the 2026 ballot so that we can provide constitutional protections for Florida homeowners. Please know you have my support in this endeavor. Oh, and one other thing. Don't let anyone tell you we're going to seek to raise state taxes, because this body will not pass tax increases and this governor will not sign any tax increases. Florida has also led on the issue of education. We've been ranked #1 in America for the past 2 years. We are the top state in America for school choice, and our school choice program has changed lives. Joining us today is Harley McCullough, whose son Thorne is a recipient of Florida's Family Empowerment Scholarship for Unique Abilities. Where are you at? There you go, wave. All right. Yeah. Now, her son Thorne attends the Jacksonville School for Autism simply because of the scholarship that has been enacted in the state of Florida. He can now pursue an education that fits his unique needs instead of being forced into a one-size-fits-all approach. And stories like Thorne are legion up and down the state of Florida. Our universal school choice program works. Families and students have benefited, and the academic bar has been raised throughout the state. It's a great testament to the members of the Florida legislature that we were the first state to enact such an ambitious and far-reaching choice program. We also recognize the importance of recruiting and retaining great teachers. We have enacted a Teachers' Bill of Rights. We've provided protection against coerced union dues, and we have invested a record $4.6 billion towards raising teacher salaries. I'm pleased to be joined by Hernando County teacher Jamie Suarez. Stand up and wave to the crowd. Jamie is the Florida Teacher of the Year for 2024. And as Teacher of the Year, she earned it by being a high-impact teacher. She's the grade team leader and mentor, and she serves as the district's textbook selection on the district's textbook selection committee. So I want to thank Jamie for making a difference, and I want to thank so many of our teachers who have made a difference in the lives of their students. And because of that, I'm again recommending an increase in money that's dedicated to increasing teacher salaries, as well as a continuation of the Civics Bonus program that gives a $3,000 bonus to all teachers that complete our Civic Seal of Excellence training course. Now, our universities have earned strong commendations, and we currently have 4 state universities ranked within the top 50 for public universities throughout the entire United States. Universities must be dedicated to the pursuit of truth, the promotion of academic rigor and integrity, and the preparation of students to be citizens of this republic. We led the way in Florida by being the first state to eliminate DEI from our higher education system. We continue to lead the way by holding the line on tuition. We have not allowed a tuition increase since I've become governor, and Florida has the lowest in-state tuition in the entire United States of America. Families Families deserve state universities that provide education, not indoctrination. And that education must be attainable for students regardless of their family's financial status. And I'm happy to report that in both of these regards, we are delivering for the people of Florida. Florida has also led on some of the most intractable issues, ranging from substance abuse to child welfare. Hope Florida was designed by our First Lady, Casey DeSantis, to transform the way government agencies provided services to our fellow citizens in need. Rather than perpetuate dependence on a great society-style bureaucracy, Hope Florida seeks to use government to connect individuals and families to more than 5,600 faith-based, community, and private sector partners. Ginger Falk is with us here, and she illustrates Hope Florida's impact. Stand up and wave and say hello. Now, Ginger was struggling to make ends meet, and her goal of becoming a physical therapist seemed like an elusive dream. Thanks to the help of a Hope Florida navigator, Ginger was connected to resources that helped her complete a physical therapy program. She's now a physical therapy assistant, and she's on her way to realizing her dreams. By the end of 2024, Florida has helped nearly 30,000 participants reduce or entirely eliminate their reliance on government assistance. This has provided them with a pathway to financial independence, and it has netted the taxpayers over $108 million in annual savings. In the aftermath of Hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton, Activate Hope, the emergency relief arm of Hope Florida, helped over 57,000 Floridians with essential supplies and provided more than 33,000 with referrals to overcome disaster-related hardships. The Hope Florida model is now being replicated by other states around the country. Thank you to my wife, Casey, for her leadership and her ingenuity. Great job. We are fortunate to live in a naturally beautiful state. We promised 6 years ago to leave Florida to God better than we found it, and we're doing just that. The Florida Wildlife Corridor, established in 2021, now spans 18 million acres, with 10 million acres already protected. Last year, we directed the Florida Department of Transportation to enhance connectivity within the corridor. Since 2019, we've approved over $129 million for 38 crossings, ensuring safer passage for species like the famed Florida panther. We've also shattered records for state support, for Everglades restoration, for water quality improvements, and for beach renourishment. While our efforts have been strong, the federal government has lagged in its responsibilities regarding Everglades restoration. But I'm happy to report that the Trump administration is receptive to block granting money to us so that we can complete these needed projects like the EAA reservoir ourselves. One thing I've learned, Florida time is a lot faster than Army Corps of Engineers time. Everglades restoration is the largest environmental restoration project in the entire country and one of the largest in the entire world. We are on the path. We're ahead of schedule from the state perspective, but we need to get this job done once and for all. And so we will be working with the Trump administration to bring that to fruition. Now, our Florida paradise was interrupted by a series of hurricanes over the past year. These storms brought major destruction, but also witnessed a strong emergency response across both the state and local governments. Utility linemen were pre-staged, and millions of customers who lost power were restored in record time. Massive amounts of debris were removed, including round-the-clock emergency effort to marshal state assets to remove Hurricane Helene debris in advance of Hurricane Milton. We even had to break open a couple padlocks to be able to get that done. The search and rescue effort was momentous. This includes the rescue of a dog that had been cruelly abandoned on the side of I-75 in advance of Hurricane Milton. Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Orlando Morales rescued the dog as water was rising to the dog's neck. The dog has been renamed Trooper and is now in a safe and loving home. Trooper Morales, stand up, because we would like to thank you for rescuing that great dog. Now, at the state level, we have utilized all available levers, from the Florida Disaster Fund to our small business loan program, to help individuals get back on their feet after these flurry of hurricanes. We are joined by Cannon Gregg, the founder of Pelican Oyster Company. Stand up, my man. Where are you at? There you are. Now, his farm was devastated by Hurricane Michael back in 2018. Of course, he rebuilt and then got hit by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. He will be a recipient of grant funds to support rebuilding efforts and to get his business back to normal. The recovery efforts after major hurricanes persist long after the cameras leave. I know more needs to be done, and you can count on me to be supportive of future legislative efforts to help with these important recoveries. Now, we know we have some important issues to address. We saw the petition fraud that took place with the amendments 3 and 4, but particularly Amendment 4. We saw how that constitutional amendment process was perverted. We need to clean up the petition fraud, and we need to clean up this out-of-control amendment process, and you in the legislature have the opportunity to do just that and protect Florida's Constitution once and for all. We've also had many discussions about condominium reform, and I know there was efforts to be made after the tragedy at Surfside in 2021. Those were all very well-intentioned efforts, and I think probably have done a lot of good, but in some instances, it's putting people in a very difficult financial pickle. I've been sounding this drum for many months. I have every bit of confidence that the legislature is going to fully address the needs of our Florida condo owners. We do not want to see anybody forced out of their condominium because of legislation. So let's get the job done for them. Now, the free state of Florida has not exactly led the way on protecting Second Amendment rights. We have some of the more weak laws on the country compared to our other states who consider themselves conservative. I would ask you to protect people's Second Amendment rights. Look back in instances where legislation may have been passed in recent years, such as shifting the burden on red flag laws, such as taking away the rights of young adults to be able to purchase firearms, such as limiting somebody's ability to both keep and to bear arms, as our Constitution does. We need to be a strong Second Amendment state. I know many of you agree with it, and so let's get some positive reform done for the people of this state of Florida. Now, before I conclude, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody of some of the accomplishments that together we have achieved over these past 6 years. We banned China from purchasing land in the state of Florida. We enacted a digital Bill of Rights. We protected Floridians against the imposition of a central bank digital currency. We instituted the death penalty for pedophiles. We created a program to accelerate the repayment of state debt, and we've saved hundreds of millions of dollars in interest costs as a result. We enacted protections for the sanctity of human life. We codified parental rights in education. We codified parental rights in education and eliminated gender ideology from our schools. We created a law enforcement bonus and scholarship program to recruit and retain great police officers throughout our state. We divested state holdings from Chinese banks and investment firms. We kneecapped so-called ESG in our pension fund, in the workplace, and in financial institutions, and as a result of that, we were leading the effort to kill ESG nationwide. We brought transparency and accountability to pharmaceutical companies to lower drug costs. We initiated the Moving Florida Forward program to accelerate over 20 infrastructure and congestion relief projects across the state. We provided billions of dollars in tax relief, including the permanent elimination of sales tax on all essential baby items. Now, I could go on, but in the interest of time, let's just say that working together, we have amassed a record that is without peer anywhere else in the entire country. And to our To our presiding officers, Speaker Perez and President Albritton, I look forward to working together to advance our shared goals. Now, Speaker Perez represents the busy, fast-paced, modern Miami, the gateway of the Americas, a unique place, not just in our state, but in our country. President Albritton represents the Florida heartland, sometimes overlooked, not by me, but by some, but that has served as the backbone of our state for generations. While coming from different backgrounds, these leaders have a strong desire to make Florida a better place. I congratulate them on earning the opportunity to lead their respective chambers, and I look forward to the days ahead. To our Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Petronis, thank you for your service to our state. Thank you for your service to our state as you prepare to get called up to the big leagues to serve in the U.S. Congress. My advice is to stay true to the Northwest Florida values that you've lived your life by and don't catch Potomac fever. Oh, and if you can teach them up in Congress to handle the budget like we do down there, then you'll be doing this country a very valuable service. Commissioner Wilton Simpson, you'll soon be the most tenured member of the Florida Cabinet. I will say your department has made significant improvements since you've taken over from your predecessor. You have stepped up. You have stepped up as part of our state's new immigration board to assist in the state's effort to combat illegal immigration. Your department has already done great work, and I thank you for doing that. We have a new Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, who is James has been instrumental in many of the successes that I've outlined today. I was happy to appoint him to be the state's top law enforcement officer, and man, is he already off to a very strong start. So we look forward to his work ahead. Now, to the members of the legislature, you're entrusted by your constituents to exercise sound judgment on their behalf. You have been more productive than any legislature in America over the past 6 years, and you should be proud of that work, and you should be proud of your willingness to serve. As Theodore Roosevelt famously said, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who errs, who comes up short again and again because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while doing greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. My friends, we have great opportunities over the next 60 days. The people of Florida are watching. Let's work together to solidify our successes and address the challenges before us. Our voyage is not yet complete, but our goal is to one day say, in the words of Walt Whitman, O Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack. The prize we sought is won. Good luck, and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.